Boom, and we're live.
3, 2, 1, and we're live. Right. We ready?
I'm ready.
So, welcome to the first ever MDMT podcast. So, today we have a very special guest joining us live in the studio. But before we get to him, we've also got Amy as well. She's going to be co-host / host. Amy, would you like to explain who you are?
Yeah, well, I'm Amy. I am a music production student in my second year, so that's pretty much what I do at the moment.
And you hit record, which is very important.
And I hit record. It's a big job.
So if it all goes wrong, it's Amy's fault. So, our guest is Sky Adams. So if you don't know who Sky is, I'm going to read it bio and then over to him. So here we go. So Sky is an amazing producer, writer, artist, rapper, and multi-instrumentalist. Sky produced and co-wrote Doja Cat's Boss Bitch, which features on the Harley Quinn movie Birds of Prey soundtrack. He has produced and co-written songs for Kylie Minogue, Zak Abel, Gorgon City, Sigma, Matt Pokora, HRVY, Sigala, Courtney, and Will.I.AM, etc. So alongside this, Sky has worked with the following writers and artists, amongst many others: WILL.I.AM, Omi, James Blunt, Nicole Scherzinger, JP Cooper, Billy Lockett, Louisa Johnson, Louise Redknapp, Stylo G, Catherine McGrath, Gabrielle Aplin, Fekky, Mabel, and Tom Grennan. If any of that isn't true, Sky, you can just jump in. And on the bio it says, fact, he's now officially given up smoking. So if you catch him smoking, let us know. So the first question, Sky, have you given up smoking?
Absolutely, brother. It's been like a year and a half now, and I love it. I got all my stamina back. I go for runs. I work out. I don't cough a lot anymore. It's amazing.
Sky is currently doing the podcast topless, just to prove all these facts.
Absolutely, dude. It's like nipples out. Let's go.
Let's go. Cool. So, two directions I want to go in. So I guess the reason I'm here, so me and Sky go back a little bit. Probably I first met you in 2010, 2011. So Sky.
It's that long ago, dude?
It's that long ago, mate. So, where did we first meet?
I think the first time we met was at, oh, here we go, sorry. It was a friend's house, Halo's house, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
I didn't really like you the first time I met you.
Mate, I loved you.
I was like, who the hell is this guy? Why is he just like staring at me?
You were much better looking back then. So.
Yeah. I mean, you know, old age, it just creeps up on you. So I'm trying to stay as fresh as I can. Really.
So you were producing at...
So I was producing at a management company at the time.
Mm-hmm. And you were producing for a band called... Well, you were producing for a lot of people, working on
dude, I was producing for like everyone. I was working on all the in-house bands and trying to do my own artist thing at the same time. We was in a band at the time. It was a pretty dope band. You know, probably one of the best bands. But Ever.
Hell yeah.
You even got a tattoo.
I've still got it.
You still got it, exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't wash off, that stuff.
Never washes off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's when I met you. So TJ kind of started working for said management company, and he was in a band, and I think you needed like a bass player to like dep for a gig or something.
No, we needed a guitarist because he was a bass player. So TJ was our friend, or a mutual friend that we had, at whose house we met.
Mm.
And you was the guitarist. He was like, yeah, I got a friend. His name's Mark. He's really good. And I was like, all right, bring him around.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the first rehearsal we had.
It's all very swirly.
Dude, it was like, what, 7, 8 years
ago.
ago?
Nearly 10.
Wow.
So I was in this band called LIA, and Sky was producing, doing his thing. I don't think you were in the band at the time, but then perhaps the following months you kind of...
Oh, no, I was always in the band. But cool. I wasn't like... I mean, before LIA, I had another band. It was a bit cheesy, to be honest. But I was always kind of like rapping a little bit and producing, you know, just like bits and bobs.
Mm.
But then I think what happened was, I don't know at what point we just like fully just went full throttle ahead.
Yeah.
Just with everything. We threw the kitchen sink in.
Damn, it was a mad time. But we started playing some gigs and
Yeah, we had some good gigs. We were doing like a lot of local, like pubs and bars and whatever we could find. Really, it was just that thing of doing it for the love of music. Like we didn't care about the money, we didn't care about anything. We just enjoyed playing, and I think that was like one of the best times musically for me. Anyway, when I look back, one of my favorite. I mean, it's all good when you get success with music. It kind of becomes like a conveyor belt where you just constantly you put it out music all the time. So I mean, like when it becomes your job, it's a job, but at the same time, it's still your passion, but it's a job. But then you remember back when it wasn't a job; it was just pure passion before you were making money off it, like And yeah, it was great times, dude.
But yeah, so the reason I bring that up is the kind of, I think it's Amy. Me and Amy were speaking about this before you arrived. I think Amy's interested in, seeing the kind of journey. So it's not all roses, and
dude, it's not all roses, dude. It took me like 8 years to like kind of. It was 8 years before I started even seeing any kind of not even money before I started seeing any improvements. So we talking about 8 years of blood, sweat, and tears. There was times when I didn't even know how I was going to eat, or pay the rent, or just little things like that. We're constantly just living. It was like if they put you on a lilo and just pushed you out into the sea, and you're literally just floating out there. You don't know when you're gonna see an island, or you might drown anytime. And it was just like that, constantly, just for years and years and years. And then one day, I guess, it all changes around. But it's just persistence, really.
And that's, I think, what we want to talk about, because obviously we're going to have a lot of like A-level students that are really interested in music tech. That's the whole point of this podcast. And I think that's really important. The sort of because anyone can gain the technical knowledge to.
Dude, anybody. I mean, here's the thing. There's so many talented people out there in the world. I've come across so many talented musicians, singers, you name it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, exactly. The most talented sitting right here. And dude, it's not about. I mean, talent is important, but the most important thing is endurance. Like being able to endure. Your family, people talking in your ear. Like you do it for so many years. When you start out, everybody starts like, yeah, I'm gonna make it. Next 2 years, I'm gonna be, And then 2 years pass, and 3 years pass, and you're like, still haven't made it. I'm still not making money. I'm still, your parents are saying, what are you doing with your life? When are you gonna you're just ruining everything. You got all these people talking to your ear, like putting all these negative things, saying you got to be realistic, get a job, like you could be, you don't know where you're gonna go, but it's just, it's blind faith, really. And for me, there was no plan B. There was only plan A. And if plan A would have failed, I would have rather been homeless or dead. Did you hear that? Dead.
Got it.
In the streets, in the gutter. That was me. That would have been me if I didn't make it. No, but seriously, though, there was no plan B, and that was kind of my mentality. I just went into it, and, it's also like being able to maneuver out of situations, because it's easy to get comfortable. If you've been doing it for a while, or something's not working out, you would I changed management like 3 times, so I found the perfect manager, and he's freaking amazing, the best manager, on the planet in my eyes, anyway, because he works for me. But it took me 3 times to change it, and it's probably the bravest thing I ever done. Because when you're comfortable with my first management, I was with them for 7 years. And breaking away from them was the scariest thing ever. Because they said to me, you'll never find anybody else who cares about you, this and that, And I was, So they made me believe the music industry was them. And I was nothing without them. And they were the reason why I was, although I wasn't anywhere at the time. But I decided, I had enough. So I broke away from them. And then again, I got with another manager, and I was with him for a year, and I was working on this, it's quite a well-known band, or at the time, and all these things, they were looking great, but he wasn't working as hard as I needed him to work, because I was working a lot harder. But then again, then I met my current manager, and he told me, even though he at the time he didn't have the credential that this other guy did, but he was saying to me, he was like, "What are you doing with this guy? Like, what has he done for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." So I said to him, "Right, I'm gonna send him an email right now." I'm like, "But you better be ready, cause I'm gonna be on you. I'm gonna be on you like a rash, bro. The second you start working for me, you're done for." And he was like, "Dude, I'm ready. Let's go." And bam, never looked back. And it's been like 3 years, nearly 4 years, And his name's Will Blake. He got this management sound collective, and they're booming right now. Like a lot of great talent. So, yeah, it's been a long journey, but like I said, it's just about endurance.
So, I think probably Amy wants to perhaps ask you a few questions
Yeah,
around
go
that,
ahead, Amy.
because
What you got?
Well, I guess obviously talking about being a long journey, was music something that you always like? Did you always want to do it? Was it just something you kind of fell into?
Oh, gosh. When I started off as a rapper when I was 15.
Okay.
I wanted to make it as a rapper. That was my thing.
Mhm.
I kind of fell into it because this guy back then in Germany, it was weird. I moved to Germany at like 12, and I met this other kid. He was like a rapper. He didn't speak German. I didn't speak German either because I was born in Nigeria.
Okay.
So I moved to Germany at that time. He didn't speak German. I didn't speak German. But anyways, like 2 years later, he moved into the same estate as I did, and all of a sudden, like, we both could speak German, and then he was like, "Dude, like, we should start rapping," you know what I'm saying? So we started this rap group. I was rapping in English, he rapped in French.
Right.
That was our thing, and we were like, "Yeah, we're gonna make it." And after some time, I realized, Germany wasn't doing it for me. I was like, "I need to get out of here." So I saved up some money, moved to, like, started, like, traveling, stopped in Minneapolis, then stopped in London, and I've been here for, like, 12 years.
Wow.
So far, or 13, I can't remember.
Long time.
But I don't know why I stopped in London. I think it was a temporary stop, but for some reason I just fell in love with the culture. So yeah, I kind of fell into producing. It was a mistake because I had like a little laptop. I was like making beats on. I didn't know a lot of producers, so I had to like make beats myself. I remember the first time I got this friend of mine gave me Reason, and I was like putting these blocks together. And I was like, well, this is really easy. I'm like, so all you got to do is like think of a melody and put blocks. Like, that's super easy. So that's how I started producing, just like making like really crappy. I wouldn't say they were crappy. They were like little nice melodies, but there was not much I could do on, like, because I didn't have samples or anything, whatever.
Right.
So when I came to London, I started as a runner. So like for the first year and a half, I wasn't even allowed in the studio. I was cleaning the floor and making tea. I was the guy that they was like, "Sky, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, Sky, here he comes." There's Sky, the idiot.
how times have changed. How's
Dude,
that flat white
time-
sky?
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I wasn't even allowed, and then all of a sudden, like, the producer left, and a lot of people left, and then they were like, "Well, do you want to be in charge of the studio?" That's where it started. So I was like, "Okay, I'm going to take my time to really work on my craft." And then, like I said, like 7 years later, I felt it was the right time to move on. And then bam, bam, bam. So it took me almost a decade to like kind of like get to where I am. But the entire time I never lost faith or never lost hope. I knew I was going to get through it no matter what.
All right. See, that kind of leads me on to my next point is, obviously, me and Mark were just saying before this that I was obviously trying to get work experience, and I was sending email after email and just constantly getting these rejection, or like my email was being deleted before even being read.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, obviously, that can sometimes, to me personally, it gets me. But obviously, you've had a lot of success now, but
I've had so much, if you mean rejection?
Yeah, like, how do you deal with that? And like,
Oh, listen,
self-doubt
I'd say
and
80% of the music industry is rejection. Like, even in today, like, regardless of the success I've had,
yeah.
let's say out of 20 things that I put out, maybe 1 or 2 might work.
Okay.
The rest is just rejection. Constantly rejection.
Yeah.
So you just got to be able to like kind of like grow a thick skin.
Yeah.
And don't care. It's not about, because a lot of people take it to heart when they get rejected. Oh, that's it, and then they just like give up, But it's just like being that person who just keeps going. You get rejected, you try here. You get rejected, you try again. You try again, because eventually you'll get through.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what's that thing? What's that machine? People always use it as a reference. Is it like I would say like, you know what, it's like the lottery.
Mm.
The music industry, it's kind of like the lottery because
Yeah.
you know what, you put songs out, you hope, and then one time, bang, all you need is one song to pop off, and then bang, that's it, and then
Yes,
you're in.
Yes.
But the entire time, it's just constantly just being rejected.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you know, the amount of artists or projects that I started, one time I spent like a whole year on this act, and this was like, I could say it doesn't matter. It was the Rizzle Kicks. It was like the third album,
Right.
right? So they hadn't done anything in a while. So this was gonna be my big thing. I was like, yes, let's go. So I worked my butt off. So I'm not gonna swear, but I worked this whole project. It was amazing. It was like, you know, I really pushed the boat out in it on this. And anyways, towards the end, some things happened, politics, and I guess they just didn't reach an understanding between each other, and the group fell apart. Something, and I don't know.
Okay.
But another thing, like I said, a whole year I spent working on this, and I already made the plans. You know what I was going to do. I was going to get paid from, you know, and it didn't work out. It just kind of everything just fell, like bam, fell apart. And all of a sudden, I remember I was moving to a new apartment. I put a deposit on a new apartment and everything. So I couldn't. I was like, what am I gonna do? You know, I had to like think on my feet. And at that time, I remember this was my first little hit. I met this guy called Zak Abel. So funny enough, while I was doing the RZA Kicks album at the time, they brought in this guy. And, like, he just came into the studio. Hey, this is my mate Zak. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? So he's just sitting there. And do you guys know Zak Abel?
No, I
Check
don't.
him out. He's like a
Yeah,
soulful singer. It's amazing. He just did this track with Kygo.
Cool.
Amazing, incredible singer.
Oh, okay.
Like really husky, like John Newman-y kind of voice, but like
Nice.
yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, at the time, they brought Zach was sitting opposite me. I'm looking at him. I'm like, hey, what's up, bro? He was like, yeah, cool. I'm like, what do you do? He was like, I'm a singer. I'm like, oh, cool, okay. But I wasn't even like thinking too tough about it because I thought, yeah, whatever. He's a singer. Everybody's a singer. I'm a singer, you know. So, anyways, he left the studio, and then one night I came into my friend's studio was next door, and I. After a long day, I remember like I was just feeling really down, whatever. I always had a beer with him, so we cracked open a beer and we just like listened to Apple Beats music, you know. And that's when this whole thing happened with the, you know, situation. So I'm thinking, like, well, what's my next move? What am I gonna do? And then all of a sudden on radio, they were like, right next, we got Zak Abel, and then this song came on. It was called what was it called? Say Something? Yeah, that's what it was. And I was like, no way. I'm like, that's the dude that was in my studio. I was like, where the hell is he? So I'm like, I contacted my publisher. I'm like, dude, find this guy. Because he knew his A&R. I'm like, you need to get him back in the studio. So we're like hitting him up and this and that. And then randomly, I'm on a train and I bump into him. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, Zak. And he was like, yo, I'm like, dude, we got to get in the studio, bro. And he was like, oh, let's do it. So anyway, so we got in the studio. And I remember I did 1, 2, or 3 tracks, whatever, and we were just warming up. And then we did this track called Unstable, which is till today probably one of my favorite production and song that I've done so far, because it was a story about our lives at the current state. You know, it was really deep. And we were all unstable at the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's me, Zak, Danny Shaw, and this guy, Laurie Martin, 2 incredible writers. We got in and we wrote this song. And from then on, I ended up doing Zak's whole album. Like, just from that one song, they just gave me, like, other tracks, whatever. And anyway, so that, for me, was kind of, like, helped me out of a hole that I was at the time.
Oh, okay. That's really interesting. It's kind of like like you said, like the lottery, like a chant, like you met him, suddenly you bumped into him on the train.
Exactly,
and then
yeah.
It happened.
It's total chance. I had no game plan. I didn't know what I was going to do.
I suppose, speaking sort of ish of game plan, if, obviously, you can't engineer those kind of encounters.
You can't.
Have you got any tips, for example, that you might give to someone like myself or others that are trying to break into the music industry? Any kind of tips on how, like, what you should be, maybe kind of things you should be working, or any things you should be putting in place to like proactively try and like?
It depends. It depends. What do you want to do? It depends what you want to do in the music industry.
See, me personally, I think it's quite niche, but I want to do like music supervision, music for film, TV, like.
So like an A&R.
Yeah, kind of. Like the end goal is I'd like to be doing like
You're the person who
music.
calls the shots or gets it together and gets the project going. Like
Yeah, kind of. But then I really admire like John Williams, all these kind of composers that have done film scores because I love film music. So, but that to me is I have no idea how to kind of get the path into that because it seems quite niche. Like how
it's the doors. The doors are tight.
yeah.
This is like in every. I mean, you talk about a lot of people trying to get into the sync game because it's, the profits are very beneficial if you land a sync, but it's oversaturated. Everybody's doing it, and but it's the same as the music industry. You say, oh, how do I get in? How do I, everyone's a producer, everyone's a singer, everyone's, is a mixing engineer, but it's about, you can't go from the thought of like, oh, everyone's doing this, so the chances of me making it are very slim. Yeah. You got to be that one person who says, you know what, I'm gonna be persistent. Because here's the thing, if you're persistent at what you do and you keep doing it, it's like that thing when they say the guy who's still on the treadmill. Yeah. At the end of it, if you're that person who just constantly just knocking at the doors, you will get through. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who you. It's about getting to the person who's in charge. Yeah. So like you said, in your line of work, you have to find out, who's the person in charge of how do I get to that person? So whether it's like you start off as as a runner and then just work your way up, like, build connections and get from that door to that door and get from that person to that person till you get there, No. And we, like I said, till today, we're still doing it. Depends, like, if I want to work with this person, I got to work with that person to get to that person. You know what I'm saying? Or like, be nice to that manager because he manages this. And then, make friends with him and go for a drink and then be social. And then bam, that's how you get there because that's how these things come about. It's not like sometimes you can show credentials and be like.
Yeah, I get. So it's a lot of kind of networking.
It's networking, right, pure networking, pure networking. You know what? Like, for me, I'm very fortunate at this moment in time to like not have to do that. My manager does that all for me and literally just calls me up and just puts the sessions in my diary. Like, all right, you're working with that person. I don't even question it anymore. I just do the work. But like I said, starting out, you got to work. You got to network your way to where you need to go.
Not what you know, who you know.
It's not what I know. It's exactly. So you can be the most talented person in the world. If nobody knows who you are or you're not with the right people, it's just not going to go anywhere.
See, I liked it. That's interesting to hear. And it's like kind of more beneficial than hearing, oh, you just got to have pure talent. Because I had a lecturer that once I sat down and told him what I wanted to do. And he was like, you either need to be amazing at this or you need to be amazing at that. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. And to come from a lecturer but then to hear someone that's properly like had lots of success in that, it's pretty great to me.
I think the one thing about Sky is his work ethic is just off the chain. If you you meet Sky, he's the most laid back guy, very sociable, he's a massive people person, makes you feel at home, super talented. But back in the day, everyone used to go home. Sky's still in there.
Oh yeah.
Everyone gets back the next morning for a 9 a.m. rehearsal. What's Sky doing in there? You've not been in there all night. Yeah, bro, I'm still producing. I've got to get this track done. So I understand what your lecturer is saying. You need to be able to open up, Logic or whatever you use and actually be able to run sessions. But I think there's an X factor that Sky is talking about, and not everybody has that. Everybody can open up a magazine and, this is how to record vocals.
Learn how to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone has the ability to do that. But from my personal experience, I've never been, the smartest guy in the room. But
still
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
I'm competing with a plant pot over there. But there's something else. For me, I've found there's been people I've gone up against in my latest job that, on paper are more qualified perhaps, have all this experience. Oh, I went to this university and I've done that. But there's something else. And I think that's what Sky's got. So that X factor that you're talking about. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's good to hear that because as much as I think sometimes it can get drilled in, like you gotta know the stuff, there's something beyond just purely knowing how to put A and
Yeah,
B
but
together.
here's the thing, though. Is that thing is everyone's got it though.
Yeah,
Because I'm not saying you got to be really talented like to be where I'm at.
yeah.
I know people who are like a lot less talented than I am, and done some incredible things. But it's not because like I said, talent doesn't really matter in this case. It's just the fact that they're persistent and they work hard, and and like be good with people, have good people skills, and know how to like, that's like probably one of the most important things, having people skills and being able to like. Because, like, with producing, it's not, I mean, here's the thing. What sets you apart, like, from a real producer, I mean, you have beat makers and you have, all people call themselves producers, but then you got to be able to command the room. And that's what, like, that's about 50% of, like, my job. So it doesn't matter. I got to bring the vibe into the room.
Right.
So when I'm in the room with, like, some writers, especially if we never met, it's like speed dating every time when I work. Every week I work with somebody new. You know what I'm saying? But when you get in the room, you got to act like we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
So, bam, I step in. Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing? So, what's been happening? How you,
Yeah.
tell me about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Oh, really? And we just talk, and you kind of vibe out, and then bam, you just straight in. So it's about sometimes when you see a disconnect, like for instance, that writer's sitting over there, and the artist sitting over there, and no one's really they're not really vibing each other. Then you got to be like, hey, why don't you come over here? Let me hear what you got. You know what I'm saying? And then you just like. You got to be able to spark up the room so, like, the vibe's there. And then you got to, like, be able to, like, if a verse is not right. Because here's the thing. When the music goes out, at the end of it, they're going to judge. They're going to judge the song by the producer. So the product that comes out of that room that day, it's all going to come back on me.
Yeah.
So that's why I got to make sure every time I do a song, it's got to be really, really good. The best of my ability. So regardless, I always have to make sure the song is dope. So, which means whenever I'm in a session and if I feel the chorus ain't right, I'm not scared to say, guys, let's start again. Or even if the song or the beat ain't right, sometimes I started like 3 times till we got the vibe. We've just been in the middle of it. I just thought about it. I'm like, nah, man, this ain't right. Now, guys, I'm like, guys, sorry, can we just start again? But you can't be scared to do that because that's when you get the outcome that you want. So every time when a song goes out to a label or anybody, they're gonna know when it comes from me, it's got to be good. Hence the reason why the work comes back to you then, because they'll be like, we got a really high success rate if we're gonna put our artist or writer in with this guy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
That's an area that I'd like to actually put into a course like music technology at uni,
course,
because
yeah.
obviously you get taught how to record vocals, drum kits, and whatever else. But quite often, well, actually all the time, in any college school situation I've been in, the students don't get taught how to sort of, like you said, Sky, command a room. When you're working with a vocalist,
Yeah.
yes, you can set the vocal mic up, but I could teach someone to do that in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's when they shut the booth door, and I see this all the time, the booth door gets shut. And that's quite a lonely place, isn't it? Sort of isolation
very lonely,
booths.
very lonely.
Yeah.
You got to make it feel good.
Yeah, and then you get the sort of quote unquote engineer who is the the student, and they will open up Logic. They will get a audio track up, and they will sit there in silence. And I'm kind of watching and think, well, give them time. And it's just silence. And you've got the quote unquote artist in the booth
Yeah.
they've got the headphones on, they're hearing nothing. So that is a part of the course that I think needs to be a part of the course.
Building up that rapport with someone and like
Yeah.
yeah,
How to deal with
definitely.
artists and
Absolutely.
as
And
Sky
it's
says.
about bringing the best out of an artist. Because a lot of times whenever, like, especially new artists or singers, when they go into the booth, anxiety kicks in or something, or they just, like, very shy. And you got to be able to make them relax to bring the best out of them. So when you talk to them and, be able to, like, command the best, how do you say, the best of their capabilities.
Get them in the zone as quick as possible.
Get them in the zone. Yeah.
Get them in the zone as quick as possible.
Get them in the
because-
zone.
Get them in the zone. So, I mean, I've got lots of questions for Sky.
Oh, here we go.
Loads of questions, and I'm sure Amy's got loads as well. But I think this is such an important thing to chat about. This is the real stuff. I guess this is what gets you jobs, Sky, and this is why management
Absolutely.
wants to work with you, because you
Yes.
have those skills that you can't.
Which I didn't always have. When I first started out, I was a quiet guy. like when I first started like work experience, I just sat in a corner. People used to go, "Oh, who is that guy? Oh, it's this guy. He's really shy." You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even talk. Like when my wife, when she first met me, I was always silent. All the friends were like, "Why are you with this guy? Like, he doesn't even talk." You know what I'm saying? So over the years, I learned to be more sociable.
Yeah.
You know, to find my voice. And like I said, these things nobody starts out like bam like that. You know,
No.
these are things you learn over the years.
Mm.
But like I said, you got to always be ready to learn and improve and be a better version of yourself.
Mm.
You know, that's what I'm always trying to do. Always like work on things where I fall short. That's why you got to be honest with yourself and saying what's my weaknesses. You know what I'm saying? And then like slowly just work at it and like one by one.
So having this having a confidence to be able to like bring people up, but not, I guess, not arrogant enough to be like, oh, there's nothing I need to work on.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
being able to
Yeah.
critique
Well, yeah,
yourself.
that's the thing though, exactly, because a lot of people get to that point where they have a bit of success and they think, oh, you know, I don't need to work with anybody who doesn't have a radio hit, or you know, because you don't know where the next hit's gonna come from, or who's gonna be the next Billie Eilish or
Yeah.
anything. You know, nobody knows.
Yeah.
That's why this music industry is kind of like I said, it's like the stock market. Like nobody knows what the next big hit's gonna be, or what the next big sound or anything. So you just got to be optimistic.
Of course. Well, kind of speaking about obviously big hits, and I know you've worked with a lot of like high profile stars. What is that like? Because obviously me going into it, if I saw an A-list, I'd be like, "Ugh," choke up. But
Oh,
how do you deal with it, and how do you find it?
You know, it all depends. It depends on how that artist makes you feel.
Okay.
Because there are some artists who, you know, like for instance, you step in the room, you're like, holy shit, it's this person. You know what I'm saying?
It's Elton John.
Exactly. But it depends who the artist is. 'Cause some artists are just like, you know, I need this mic set up like this, and you know, they just really, how do you say,
Demanding.
very, very demanding, and they kind of like, you know. But I don't know. Most artists that I've worked with, they've just been like really cool and chill, and you know, been great people.
Wonderful.
So how do you bring an artist sort of almost not out of their shell, because obviously that's their natural environment, but so if an artist does come in super famous to do a session and they're kind of giving you the I won't call it attitude, but you know they've been there before, you're just some another
Exactly,
producer
yeah,
in the
yeah,
room.
yeah.
How do you get that vibe going?
Well, I tend to just kind of like not approach it on. I try not to approach it on the work level, as in, you know, we're here to do a job. I'm just gonna get straight to work. I try to connect first, or just like, you know, let's not talk about work. I'm just, oh, how's your day been? Did you come? You know, where are you staying at the moment? Oh, really? Just get into a conversation that has nothing to do with music, and just about their, you know, personal life, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just make it feel like, you know, we're just two people just having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a producer, whatever. I'm a nobody. You know what I'm saying? But I'd like to know how you date, you know, and then just connect on that kind of level.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do anyway, and that always seems to work. Because by the time, we could just chat for an hour, not even talk about music, and then they go, okay, I'm ready. You ready? All right, let's do this. And then bam, we're in the zone. So it's about first making that connection with some artists can just go, like, for instance, like Kylie Minogue walks into the room, boom, energy everywhere. You know, don't even need to, like, the first time I met her, that's when I did the first, from the first album, Dancing. That was like the first single off the last album, which was like the most successful. And they literally sent me the track like 2 days before. I remember I was like trying to get in the room because my manager introduced me to Jamie Nelson, who was her A&R at the time. So we were like, yeah, we need to get on this Kylie project. So we were banging on about it. Like, come on, Jamie, get us in the room. Sky's the man to do this. Sky can do this. Anyways, I think they've been to Nashville. She'd only had like, she had 22 days in Nashville or something. They only came back with like 1 or 2 songs. But I think they didn't really have any singles. So 2 days before I was supposed to work with her, they sent me Dancing. And the original kind of went like, when I go out, I want to go out dancing now. It was like really slow and stuff. They're like, can you see what you can do with this, whatever? So I just did my thing and sped it up a little bit, gave it some boom, you know, some.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
great
thank
song.
you. So I gave it like a bit of a dance vibe to it with some country.
Nice.
I just do the kitchen sink, and I didn't really think too much about it. I just went off my vibe. I got the email back. Wow, this is amazing. We love it. So 2 days later, I'm in the studio. Bang! I walk in. Kylie's like, "Sky, how you doing? Oh my God, I love it." You know, so we're chatting like we've already known each other. I'm like, "Yo," you know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there and like we working like 2 more tracks with this other writer, and then bam, we just came back in, kept doing session after session, and I think like we did like 10 sessions, and out of 10, like 8 tracks got used. So they pretty much scrapped most of the album, or something like that, and then I had 4 tracks on the main album, and like 4 on the deluxe. So, anyways, yeah, it was. Sorry, ooh, goddamn, it's coffee. I had like 3 coffees this morning.
I've got a question
Yeah.
about, I think it is Dancing. Is that the track where
Yeah, with the
it starts
guitar.
with the acoustic guitar,
Yeah.
right? And that little, obviously we were chatting about how far we want to get into the kind of production stuff, but I did have a very specific question about
Go ahead.
that. First of all, was that you playing the guitar?
No, it wasn't me.
Second of all, the way you got it sounding like, it was like the initial guitar was supposed to sound shitty, like out of tune a little bit and really badly mixed, and then it comes in like really well produced, sparkling guitar. That little production trick, it was awesome. It matched the visual of the music video as well.
Oh, really?
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, check that out if you haven't seen that. That's pretty cool. Because when you first heard it, you were like, Jesus.
Yeah,
Like, and
they went with my that was the first draft, that mix. The first draft
Really?
that I
Wow.
sent in, they went with that. I tried to fight the A&R. I was like, "Dude, let me do a mix of this, please." I did like 2 mixes. He was like, "Nah, I'm going with this." Bam. That was it.
Wow.
He was like, "The way you made that guitar sound, dude." It was like, I'm like, "Dude," I remember I looked at the EQ. I put like two EQ like boosting really high and stuff. I was like, "Dude, it's not supposed to work." He was like, "Dude, I love it." He just put it out. So there was nothing I could do about it, but it just, it was,
Yeah, it was nice.
yeah.
That was nice.
It's one of those mistakes,
Happy mistake.
happy mistakes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I guess speaking of instruments, what I kind of wanted to ask, read that you're multi.
Oh yeah, I play everything, even the cello.
What's your?
I'm joking.
What's
Cello.
your favorite instrument to play?
Funny enough, I started my favorite. It's between piano and guitar. I don't know. I started playing the guitar at 22. I remember when I started back then. My thing was I wanted to rap and play guitar. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to play guitar so I can rap. Because I saw this kid. I used to like be a promoter in the West End. Club promoter, like, hey guys, you want to get into club? For like a whole year when I first came to London. Anyways, but I used to do a lot of ciphers. Like, all of a sudden you see a guy with a guitar, I start rapping, people like make a circle around. It used to be
I've been there.
awesome. Yeah,
I've been there with
exactly. So it used to be like totally awesome. We'd be like, wow, this is so cool. And then this one guy, I remember he had like a guitar and he was like rapping. So I was like, I need to learn how to play guitar. So I started watching YouTube, practicing every day for like solid, like let me say, a year and a half. And then I start my first like duo with this other guy. He played guitar and sang. I played guitar and rap. But he used to make fun of me because he's like, "Give me that, man. You're crap." You know what I'm saying? But it made me so angry. I was like, I am good to learn how to freaking play the guitar. You know what I'm saying? And I remember like 6 months down the line, I'm strumming. And he was like, oh, you're getting really good, aren't you? I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting good. And then bam, so the guitar, I'd say, is it's a vibey instrument. You can pick it up and you can just like go. Piano, I mean, the keys are like, always first choice, I'd say, for any producer. I like them both, you know what I'm saying? It depends.
Keys are my main instrument. I do love the keys. They're pretty good.
For a producer, I think that's actually
It's
pretty
essential,
important, isn't it? Yeah.
essential, yeah.
Good.
Dude, I didn't even know what a chord was when I was like, I remember like back, this guy said to me, what did he say? What chords are those? I'm like, what's a chord? He was like, are you joking? I was like, I don't know what a chord is.
Damn.
So I had like this book that I carried around. I used to memorize. I tried to memorize the scale. And then like all these, it was crazy. It was a long journey. But
So-
I'm still pretty average on like the chord chart, but it gets me by.
That was interesting because before the podcast, Amy was kind of, I guess you can tell Sky, but slightly worried that she comes from like a classical background,
Oh,
so
yeah.
first
Yeah.
instrument skis, and she was going, I'm surrounded by producers that are, doing their thing, and they're bedroom producers. So what you just said, you didn't even know what a chord was.
I didn't know what a chord
So
was.
that's where all of the stuff that's why it's important.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. Like that's honestly, that makes me so like feel good to hear. Just because I've played since 4 or 5, and I came to uni being like, have I picked the wrong course? Because or there's these amazing producers all around me that have all been in their bedrooms playing X, Y, and Z, and I've been doing scales for the last X amount of years of my life. But so to hear that, it's like,
Yeah, but your theory knowledge is so you must know it quite well. Then I mean,
yeah. But when my teacher was going like, "Oh, we need to do theory," I was like, kind of sat there like, "Why am I doing this?
oh no, theory is. To be honest, I wish like I spent a lot more time in my theory.
Yeah.
I mean, I try. I mean, here's the thing. Nowadays, I'm so busy. I try to like brush up on it, but honestly, I don't have the time anymore to like really delve into it like I should. Because especially like I got a kid and a wife. I'm trying to get up.
It sounds good, Sky. It's good.
Dude,
It sounds good. It's good.
I got to get up earlier. I try to get up like 5 a.m. to like get my workout done. I started doing jiu-jitsu.
Oh,
Dude, I love it.
blue belt.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing. If the pandemic didn't happen, I'd be blue belt by now.
Jiu-jitsu is not the thing you want to be doing.
Brazilian
during the
jiu-jitsu
pandemic.
is amazing. It's probably the best thing I've ever done in my life. Because here's the thing. Next to music, I needed something an outlet. Or I needed another hobby. And for years, my wife was always like, why don't you just find another hobby? I was looking everywhere trying to like find a distraction because it can really be draining to just constantly think about music. When I started jiu-jitsu, I am obsessed with it.
Gi or no gi?
Both. I love it. To be honest, I prefer no gi.
Because you got to watch those fingers.
It's
in
more
the gi.
realistic. It's more realistic with no gi. But what do you say?
It's more. You got to watch those fingers with a gi.
Oh yeah, you gotta have good grips.
Yeah.
But dude, it's like
Maybe
like
we
in
should
terms
roll.
of like, it's that thing, becoming a samurai. On your path to enlightenment. You go down this path. Here with jiu-jitsu, you can't. There's no shortcuts. You have to like put the time in. You have to like become better at escaping or attacks and this and that. So like when you start out, you start doing all these different things. You're like, okay, cool. I'm gonna learn this. Armbar.
And you just get
guillotine.
smashed.
You get smashed all
All
around
the
place.
time.
All the time. From all these like different color belts, and you're like, why? Why is this happening to me? And then you realize, hold on, I need to learn the basics. So what I started doing, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna defend. I'm gonna let myself get attacked and just try to defend. And for time, I would just like get better at my defense, and all of a sudden it starts coming together. And you're like, oh wow. And then, like I said, it's going to probably take like a decade to get to black belt, but the journey is what's important,
We need to roll, Sky.
You don't roll.
White belt over here. Yeah, 10th planet. So I started. Yeah, serious.
You joking?
I'm not joking.
When?
Well, unfortunately, so when you see the this happened 2 years ago on Instagram. Sometimes that can be.
Oh god.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Such good motivation because I got one this week, and it said 2 years ago, you were at 10th Planet London.
Dude, I've been trying to get to that gym. I just can't get there in time. It's because it's like 1 p.m. when the classes are.
It's a bit tricky.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a bit tricky.
I'd rather if they had like, I don't know, if they had like 10 a.m. classes, I'd have been there for like 1 or 2. I started Roger Gracie.
Oh,
That's why I
wow,
started.
yeah. Cool.
And then like for a year now, I got a local jiu-jitsu gym that I go to.
Nice. So you're still a white belt? Blue belt?
Here's the thing, dude. Like I said, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I'd be blue by
That's
now.
the problem.
So but it's good though. I mean, I haven't stopped rolling, to be honest. I got a buddy of mine. We both been social distancing from the world through the pandemic. He lives not far from my house, so we just like carried on training. So I'm feeling pretty good. Like when I get back in the gym, I'm gonna kick some ass.
We need to roll. We need to roll.
I'm gonna take you up on that.
Damn. I need to
Anyways.
start training again. Yeah.
Back to music.
Yeah, back to me. Why not? We can chat about jiu-jitsu. It's all good.
I suppose I'm interested to know what is the last thing that you listened to then, whether it was for a workout or whatever. What's the last piece of music or song you listened to?
Wow. Honestly, I have I listen to the most random music you can imagine. I have no. Even my wife says like your playlist is so random. I have no. One second I might be listening to some, I don't know, let's say some Kanye West. Next thing I'm listening to, I don't want to miss a thing. From like, it doesn't matter what it is. It depends on my mood, So whatever comes on my playlist, next time I'm listening to classical music, I'm this is cool, whatever. But for like workout, I don't really, I just go back to like first 2 Kanye albums. I listen to the same stuff all the time. It's pretty boring, to be honest, Like, or I listen to my tracks. because I'm constantly like, obviously the more no, I don't mean that. I don't mean that because I'm trying to like throughout the week, if I've like, let's say I've worked on like 3 or 4 songs, whatever, and then I have a backlog of songs to finish. So while I'm working out, I'll listen to them, and then just automatically my brain just like start to piece it together. Okay, this is what I need to do. Bang, 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 bang. Maybe write some notes, listen to the next one. So as I'm going along, and then bang, I just like go in the studio and just bang them out like 1, 2, 3. So that's the quickest way I get it executed.
Efficient, very efficient.
Oh yeah. I mean, like it's got to a point now. Like I said, it takes I do a song a day, and it's usually about 90% to finish.
Okay.
So anything that needs done, like it's just tiny stuff. So it's not much. So whenever I submit a demo, it's almost ready to go to radio.
So it takes you one day to get a track from nothing to
Pretty much
everything.
6 hours. That's usually the time. If it's a really good song, 4 hours.
That's a groove that has been greased over
Exactly,
the years.
dude. It took decades.
Wow.
It took a decade to get there, but it's good which means I can bang out songs quicker. I can do a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. Get home from my family. I don't need to do late nights anymore. I don't do any of that stuff. I did it in the past. Like you asked Mark. Like I started 10 till like it'll be like 12 a.m.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, right, Scott, you need to finish these tracks, blah, 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 blah. I'll be till 5 a.m. in the morning, sleeping at the studio.
That is true.
Those are grim times.
true.
It was hardcore. And the funny thing is, like, me and my wife, when we first met, we were sleeping on the studio floor with rats. This is like in a place in Brixton. There was like, it was a studio in a garage. You weren't even there, dude.
No,
This
no.
was before. So, like, because obviously...
Wait, it got worse than Camberwell.
Dude, it was worse. Camberwell was
Palace.
It was like a palace, exactly.
Damn.
So it started from the floor, sleeping like, wake up in the middle of the night, what the hell is that? Rat just running across the room. Then worked up to like a bedroom, you know what I'm saying? Bam, bam, bam. So now we just bought our first house, so life is good. But then I look back, dude, I came from the bottom.
Put yourself up.
Exactly, from the bottom. Like, I remember being spoken to like, you're a friggin' idiot. You know what I'm saying? You're useless, this and that. But being able to take that on the chin and just be like, I don't care. Words are just words. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know where you're going to go. And a lot of people, like, you meet up on the way up, they're just going to try, just stamp you down, just keep you there. You know what I'm saying? But you got to maneuver your way around them. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, it's funny. I still see people that were like, back then, I used to look at them like, wow. And now I look at them like, damn. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what happened to you? But it's your own, only you can set your own path.
Of course, yeah.
But you've always had such an open mind as well. So, it doesn't matter who you work with or projects you've been working on. It's just that ability to just keep going.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going, persevere.
Yeah.
And it's,
I get, everything I work on, I put 100% into it. Like, doesn't matter, even if it's like something I'm just getting paid, even if it's just a paid job or the pay is not as high, whatever, I always put 100%. So,
Sky, I've got some specific questions for you
God,
from the
look at
head
that,
of
dude.
music technology because we're running out of time.
Christ. Okay, let's go.
Got 5 questions for you. So, well, actually, I need to find them. Yeah, I got them. Okay, so this is from Tim Hallis, who
Can I have some
wrote.
of your water, by the way?
Yeah, go for it. It's not like there's a pandemic going around or anything, Sky.
I'm gonna sky it. Don't worry, dude.
So this is from Tim. So he's got 5 questions for you. So he's the head of music technology.
My man, Tim.
yeah.
What's up?
He's a legend. So he wrote the AS and A2 level EdXL music tech guide. So he wants to ask you, what skill do you think you value most as a producer?
People skills.
Perfect. Next question. So 4 more. So is there any skill you've had to work on to improve? Probably we've gone over kind of a lot of this, but I want to specifically ask.
Is there any skill I had to work on to improve? I'd say my, you know what? Like, here's a funny thing. Time. Being on time.
Okay.
Back in the days, if you remember, I was always late. I had a real problem with time. Really, really, really bad. And I remember this is my turning point. This is like later down the line after, like, the band ended and whatever. I was like, when I was on my own for a little while. And I remember I had like some clients, just a few clients, just like, that I kind of found on the way, whatever, to like keep the lights on, this and that. And I remember I'll turn up late, and then like people, they just started being rude to me, you know, even though like I was delivering them good stuff. But I remember I'll turn up and they'd be like, they'd be waiting for like, let's say half an hour to 40 minutes. And I'll be like, hey man, I'm so sorry I'm late. They're like, I'm like, you guys all right? Not really, man.
It's never a good look when,
exactly.
when
So
the
they start,
artists are there before you.
exactly. So people started being like really just rude to me. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm never going to be late again. I'm going to be there always way before anybody. And ever since then, nobody could tell me anything. I'm always there like half an hour before, sometimes even an hour before. You know what I'm saying?
Sets a precedence.
Exactly. So time management is very important.
Okay.
And yeah, so it was, what was the question again?
Is there any skill you've had to work on to improve?
Yeah, time management and I'd say delivery, being able to deliver
Under pressure.
under pressure. That's it, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. Because here's the thing: when, like I said, like when you said when you're in a room with a high profile artist, it's a lot of pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when people walk in and like, oh, this is Sky. Okay, well, you know, look forward to hearing a hit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? They
yeah.
come, oh yeah, give us a hit.
Wow.
And you gotta, oh, this is the head of this. This is the head of this person. Oh, how you doing? Yeah. Love your stuff, bro. Yeah, can't wait for you to hear the song. You got to deliver a hit.
Yeah.
So, you got to be able to just like block everything out, block the fact out. Hold on, it's Rihanna over there. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna judge the second you start playing chords, and then you think this chords are crap. You know, that's every time I start.
You just see Rihanna's reflection in the
Seriously.
monitor. And you're like,
On the outside, it might look, whenever I always start off, you know, whatever, I start the vibe, people go, oh, yeah, I like that, whatever. In my head, I'm thinking, this is crap. You know what I'm saying? All these doubts come into my head. Every time. No, doesn't matter how long I've been producing. Every time I start, the process is the same. I start with, oh, this is cool. I'm crap. I'm taking too long. You know what I'm saying? Why am I taking so long? I've lost it. You know what I'm saying?
and everyone, silent room,
Yeah,
everyone's
it's silent.
looking at you.
Exactly. But then, because the skill set's there, somehow always turns it around, and you look around, and everyone, you start seeing smiles, and like, yeah, we like that, and you're like, oh, good, now I can relax. Then, that's half the battle. Being able to start under pressure, and then once the vibe is up, then finish it off.
You've got to condense, because most people, as you know, as a bedroom producer, how many tracks do you start and never finish? Hundreds, right? Not you personally, but you know, the average person.
Yeah,
hundreds,
yeah.
you never finish them. So you've got to do that process, as in you're writing a melody, a hook, and you think this is crap.
Yeah.
But then you got to go, yeah, but I've got Kylie Minogue behind me, so I can't just go, yeah, let's just.
Oh
sack
no, you
that
got
off.
here's another thing. This is the most important thing. You got to finish what you started. Always. That's the most important thing about producing. This will get you to the level where you need to be. It doesn't matter how bad an idea is. If you start a song, you have to finish it. So as long as you finish it, doesn't matter. You can come back to it in a few weeks' time, in a month, and just listen to it. Like, you know what? There's a few good bits in here, but at least you finished it, and you can see the trail of like what went wrong. What did you do wrong? But if you start an idea and you never finish any ideas, then that's it's not going to work out. You got to be able to finish. You have to finish what you started.
Got another one for you. I might skip this one, but I'll ask you and see what you think.
Oh.
So, what do you look for in an engineer / assistant producer?
Skip.
Exactly. I thought so. I might skip this one as well.
No, I'm kidding. What do I look for? I don't know. Just the willingness to learn and soak up. Just learn and be humble. And yeah, that's all it is.
Make a great flat white.
Exactly. Make the best flat white you've ever made in your life. Better be good.
Might skip this one as well, Sky, but I'm going to ask you, what's your go-to setup for vocals? I would imagine that changes every session, but do you have a template?
To be honest, I haven't really changed my chain for a while.
So you do have kind of a template that you sort of start with?
Everyone's got a template.
Yeah.
I had it. It was in Sound & Sound magazine, actually, under a couple of years, but you can find it online.
I think I read it last time.
Yeah, there we go.
That's my same. I use the same chain. I've probably added a couple things. It depends on microphone I'm using too. I've realized.
Yeah.
So it depends what studio I go to. Some chains I can't use certain things. So I just mute them. But it's the same thing. I mean, Pensado's Place. Everybody's been there. You guys watched it.
I do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's the same, and you got to use your ears to fine tune how you like your sound.
It's kind of embarrassing when he says, "Yeah, did you hear that?" And you're like,
Nope.
And I'm gonna do it.
I've lost some top end in my hearing. Back in the days, I listened to music so loud.
Oh, your EQs used to be savage.
dude, like
Just add everything at 10K.
it's horrible. I used to blast music so loud. So that's another thing. Just try to like listen to at a decent level. Protect your ears because they're not going to be as good if you don't. So don't make the same mistakes that we made.
It's the only tool you need as a musician, right?
Exactly. That's the most important part. The most important things.
Got one more. This is quite a good one. So what's the greatest lesson you've learned from working professionally that you wish you'd known when working your way up?
Ooh, that's a good question. What is the greatest lesson I've learned from working professionally? You know what? Everything that happened for a reason. I'm glad it happened. I can't really answer that question that sort of way because I'm glad, like the path I went down, all the mistakes I've learned, I made, are what made me better. So you constantly you got to make mistakes. Without mistakes, you're never going to learn. So nobody can start out and be like, oh, I never made a mistake. Because like the best artists in the world, do you know how many mistakes they've made to like be where they at? And it's the mistakes that craft you as a whatever you are, as a producer, as an artist, whatever. So yeah, it's
Looking back as well and seeing where you've come from, I think that's very important.
exactly.
So looking at all those times where you've got rats,
Rats were my best friend back then. Yeah, I remember Johnny, Toby. I miss him. I still go visit him.
Got one more, Sky.
Yeah.
What skill do you think you value in yourself most as a producer? Probably you've probably covered this, but
Yeah. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
people, skill set, and
a multi-colored afro.
yeah, you know what? Also, the skill set of being still, the fact that I'm still able to like be open and learn. I haven't closed that door off. I'm still a student. You know, it doesn't matter how far I am. I'm still like, I'm never gonna be that guy who's going, I've learned enough. Nobody can tell me anything.
That's so important, Sky.
It's so important.
So
you know?
important. Not at my current place. Sorry to cut you off. Sky. not at my current place of work, fortunately. Got to be careful. But I've worked at a lot of kind of colleges, schools, where because you're labelled as a teacher,
Yeah, of course.
that's almost you're done.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher, you're a student, there's a very clear boundary.
Divide, yeah.
I know it. And I've been in classrooms where, the music tech teacher is asked a question and you can tell they don't know the answer. But that's fine. Just because you're a teacher, it doesn't mean you're going to know everything.
Exactly.
You have a niche,
You're not the oracle.
No, but the problem is, when you pretend you are. So what Sky just said, that is so crucial. I get asked loads of questions. I'm like, you know what, I don't know, but I'm going to look that up.
Yeah.
And then that builds a really nice,
Absolutely.
And you both learn something.
Exactly.
100%.
And like I said, I'm constantly like, especially like, the older you get, I mean, younger producers and stuff, this stuff constantly, I don't know. Like, what was it, a few weeks ago, I was working with this kid. He's a singer. He doesn't even really produce. He's pretty good, actually. He used to show me his beats, whatever, but he's more of a singer, but he produces as well. And he showed me like this 808. I'm like, what? I'm like, where'd you get that 808 from? He was like, I made it. I'm like, no, you didn't make that. I'm like,
No
open up
way.
that setting. So he showed me it was like in Serum, and he made it from a sine wave. He's like, oh yeah, I learned it in college. I was like, dude, send me that patch, please.
Wow.
It was an amazing 808. It was like, for like trap or whatever you wanted. It was like so boomy. I was like, dude, and I'm not scared to be like, oh, I'm never gonna ask. I'm like, dude, show me that. Give me the patch. I'm not scared. Whatever.
Because then people can ask you questions.
Exactly.
And not have the fear of like...
I'll always share. Like anybody ask me, I know so many producers and people like who just they never share anything, their precious knowledge. Dude, like what's the point? How are you ever gonna like, how do you think like society was built or like scientists, say they share their knowledge and you make one huge big
Send me that boss bitch.
dude, I'll send it to you. You can have it.
Mate, we're done.
All right.
Thank you very much for today.
It's been a pleasure,
thank you.
dude.
I know you're
It's
not.
been a pleasure. Ugh.
Feeling 100% as well. So that's very kind of you to share your time. And
It's all good. I mean, I apologize. I'm a bit run down from like the weather. I'm sure you can hear
from
it,
the
but it's all
epic
good.
hits you're producing.
I ain't
daily.
got coronavirus, guys, so don't worry.
Oh, we know. We
Yeah.
know. And if you have,
And if
we
I
now
have,
have
you-
coronavirus as well. So
You're effed.
yeah. No, but cheers for today, mate. It really means a lot. And I think, when this gets back to the A-level students, it's going to I think it's going to answer a lot of questions that they will have,
Yeah.
and coming from a a reputable source.
Absolutely. It's been my
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Cheers, mate.
Peace out.
Peace.
Sweet.